Sometimes the greatest battles are fought in silence where no one sees the scars. Michael whispered, his voice trembling, with a weight he could no longer carry alone. What if the person you trust the most is hiding a secret that could change everything you thought you knew about her and yourself? I want you to imagine that moment, standing on the edge of a revelation so profound it shakes your world to its core. Michael's calm exterior masks a storm of emotions: guilt, fear, desperation, and an overwhelming need to protect. His heart aches as he watches Emily, his loyal housekeeper, conceal a pain far deeper than exhaustion or stress, a hidden war waged to save her daughter's life. This story will unravel the invisible burdens we carry, the sacrifices made in shadows, and the unexpected connections that arise when compassion breaks through pride. Stay with me, because what Michael discovers next will shock you, and it will change the meaning of family forever. Michael Grant stood on the balcony of his Seattle mansion just as the clock struck 7:15 a.m. Like clockwork, Emily Carter appeared at the front gate, her steps steady but weighed down with something unseen. 2 years she'd worked as his housekeeper, always perfect, always on time. Yet despite her flawless record, Michael couldn't shake an uneasy feeling. There was something about Emily that went beyond the surface, something hidden beneath the quiet professionalism. From his vantage point, he watched her cross the manicured lawn, clutching a worn black handbag tightly. Her eyes were cast downward, avoiding the world, yet there was a strength in her posture, a kind of quiet pride that refused to break. Michael had seen all kinds of people in his life, from boardroom sharks to those quietly carrying heavy burdens. Emily didn't quite fit either mold. She seemed like someone who bore a weight far greater than anyone knew. Inside, the kitchen smelled faintly of coffee. Emily moved through her tasks with precise efficiency, preparing breakfast without any sign of warmth or ease. Their exchanges were polite but distant, a delicate dance of formality that neither dared break. Michael greeted her with a calm, "Good morning," and she returned the same, her voice steady but distant. Despite his efforts to focus on his work, Michael's eyes kept drifting toward Emily. Her movements were flawless, almost robotic, yet sometimes he caught a flicker, a pause here, a tremble there that hinted at exhaustion. One afternoon, as she knelt to pick up some fallen books, her legs gave out and she collapsed. The vacuum cleaner clattered to the floor as Michael rushed to her side, heart pounding. "Are you okay?" he asked, kneeling beside her. She looked up, her eyes shadowed with fatigue. "I just tripped," she said softly, but the truth in her voice was unmistakable. Michael helped her to a nearby couch and insisted she rest. He offered to call a doctor, but Emily refused, brushing off his concern with practiced ease. Yet the worry settled deep within him. Over the following weeks, Michael noticed the little things: how Emily barely touched her lunch, how her shoes were more worn than before, and how she sometimes leaned against a wall, breathing deeply as if to gather strength. When he offered her a generous raise, 50% more than her current salary, she declined immediately. The refusal puzzled him. Who would turn down such an offer without good reason? Driven by concern, Michael decided to follow Emily after work one evening. He watched as she boarded a bus that carried her from the upscale neighborhood to a poorer part of the city. Walking briskly, she arrived at Mercy General Hospital. His heart tightened. Emily took the elevator to the 4th floor pediatric oncology. Michael realized she was visiting her daughter Lily, a fragile 8-year-old fighting leukemia. Everything clicked into place. The fatigue, the secrecy, the refusal to accept help, all because Emily was fighting for her daughter's life while trying to keep her own struggles hidden. Michael saw her in the hospital basement later that night, curled up on a thin mattress, clutching a small bag. He noticed a gold bracelet and ring, her last valuables, likely kept in case she needed to sell them to pay for treatment. Nearby, a worn notebook lay open, filled with calculations, bills to pay hours worked, and how much money was still needed. The weight of her sacrifice pressed heavily on Michael's chest. Emily was risking everything: her health, her dignity, to save her daughter. The pride that made her refuse his help was the same pride that kept her going through every long day and sleepless night. Michael knew he had to help, but how could he offer assistance without breaking her spirit? That night, he paced his mansion, haunted by the image of Emily sleeping on that thin mattress and Lily's pale face in the hospital room. He realized that money alone wasn't enough. He needed to approach Emily with care, respect, and understanding. The next morning, Emily arrived carrying not just her handbag, but also a bag of cleaning supplies. When Michael asked, she insisted she had replenished the house's stock, though he knew the pantry was full. He realized she was spending her own limited money on supplies rather than saving for her daughter's treatment. Michael chose that moment to confront her gently. Finding her in the study, he closed the door and said, "Emily, we need to talk." Her body stiffened. "Did I do something wrong, Mr. Grant?" "No," he said softly. "I'm the one who's been wrong. For 2 years, I've watched you work tirelessly without ever asking what you were carrying inside." Her eyes welled with tears as the wall she'd built began to crumble. "Please don't fire me," she whispered. "I was scared you'd think I couldn't do the job if you knew the truth." Michael sat beside her and said, "You won't lose your job, no matter what happens. This is more than an employer, an employee, we're family." For the first time in years, Emily allowed herself to be vulnerable, sharing Lily's diagnosis, the crushing costs, and her desperate fear. Michael listened, his heart breaking for a mother's fight he had never imagined. He promised to help, not just financially, but with patience and respect. Leaving that day, Michael felt a new purpose. He was no longer just a businessman. He was a man determined to be an ally to a brave mother and her daughter. I know it's difficult to pause here with so much emotion unfolding, but the story is just beginning to reveal its deepest truths. And you, Barry, if you were Michael, how would you approach helping Emily without taking away her dignity? What do you think is the most important thing he can do to support her and Lily? Please share your thoughts below. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and share it. Helps bring stories like this to light. Your support means everything. Michael's revelation about Emily's secret life didn't just stir compassion, it ignited a fierce determination to help. The image of little Lily battling leukemia in a Stark hospital room haunted him day and night. But Michael quickly realized that money alone couldn't heal the invisible wounds of pride and fear that wrapped tightly around Emily's heart. After their heart-to-heart in the study, Michael decided to step up his efforts. He reached out quietly to a trusted contact in the medical field, Dr. Andrews, a specialist known for navigating hospital systems and securing financial assistance for families in need. The hope was to find a way to ease Lily's expensive treatment costs without shattering Emily's dignity. Still, Michael knew the real challenge lay in approaching Emily. She was fiercely independent, a woman whose pride was as strong as her love for Lily. The next morning, when Emily arrived carrying more cleaning supplies than necessary, Michael saw it as a sign of her silent struggle. She was using her limited personal funds to buy things she didn't need, anything but medicine for her daughter. That afternoon, Michael invited Emily for a quiet conversation. "Emily," he began gently, "I want to help make this easier for you. You don't have to carry this burden alone." She looked away, eyes glistening with tears she tried to hide. "I can't accept charity," she said, voice cracking. "If I take help, it means I've failed as a mother." Michael swallowed hard, understanding that her refusal wasn't about money. It was about dignity and identity. "What if I told you I lost a child too?" he whispered. "My son Ethan fought the same battle. I had all the money in the world, but I still lost him. I know pain like yours." The words hung in the air between them, two people bound by loss, pride, and an unspoken bond. For a moment, Emily's defenses faltered, revealing the deep wells of fear beneath her strength. Days passed and Michael coordinated with Dr. Andrews, who confirmed that Lily's treatment could be dramatically improved through a specialized program with significantly reduced costs. But convincing Emily to accept this help was another story. Late one evening, Michael followed Emily again, this time to a local community center where a support group for parents of sick children met. Emily sat quietly listening as other mothers shared their fears and hopes. It was a side of her Michael had never seen, the woman behind the facade, vulnerable yet unbreakable. Suddenly, Emily's phone rang. She stepped outside to answer. Michael overheard bits of the conversation, an urgent plea about unpaid hospital bills and the risk of Lily losing access to life-saving medication. His heart pounded. The stakes were higher than ever. Michael approached cautiously as Emily returned. "I know it's hard, but please let me help." "For Lily," tears streamed down her face. "I'm scared. What if taking your help means I'm giving up on being the mother she needs?" "No," Michael said firmly. "It means you're strong enough to accept help when it matters most." The breakthrough came when Michael proposed a plan. He would cover the costs, but Emily would remain in charge of Lily's care decisions. This wasn't charity, it was partnership. Weeks later, Lily's treatments began to improve. Her strength returned slowly, and for the first time in ages, Emily smiled without worry etched on her face. But the emotional battles were far from over. Emily wrestled with guilt and hope, fearing what the future held for Lily and what it meant to rely on someone else. Michael, meanwhile, grappled with his own fears of loss and the desire to protect the family he was only beginning to understand. One night, Emily confided in Michael about Lily's father, how he left when he found out about the illness, refusing to be part of their lives. "I don't want Lily to feel abandoned again," she whispered. "I'm scared I'm not enough." Michael took her hands in his. "You are more than enough, and you're not alone anymore." Their connection deepened, bound by shared pain and the fragile hope of healing. As Lily's health improved, Michael and Emily began to imagine a future one where their lives intertwined beyond employer and employee into something more profound. But just as the light began to shine, a new challenge emerged. A critical test revealed Lily's cancer was more aggressive than first thought, requiring an even more advanced and costly treatment. Michael felt the familiar rush of urgency and fear. Emily's eyes reflected her turmoil, hope battling despair, love fighting helplessness. Together they faced the hardest question: how much could they sacrifice for Lily's chance at life? In that moment, Michael realized this wasn't just a battle against illness, it was a journey of trust, courage, and the power of love to redefine family. As they prepared to make the next step, Michael looked at Emily and whispered, "We'll face this together. Thank you for staying with me through this intense part of the story. It's never easy to pause when emotions run this high, but the journey continues." Here's a question for you. If you were Emily, struggling to accept help but desperate to save your child, what would give you the courage to let someone in? And if you were Michael, how would you balance offering support without overstepping? Please share your thoughts below. If this story has moved you, please like and share. It helps bring more stories of hope and resilience to light. Your support truly matters. The months that followed were a slow but steady march toward hope. Lily's health had improved dramatically under the advanced treatment Michael had insisted on, and with each visit to Mercy General Hospital, the oppressive weight of fear began to lift, replaced by cautious optimism. The sterile halls, once a place filled with dread and uncertainty, now seemed infused with whispered promises of healing and renewal. Michael had become more than just an employer. He was now a committed presence in Emily and Lily's lives. He arrived regularly with small gifts, a new book, a puzzle toys, to bring a flicker of normalcy and joy to Lily's hospital room. Emily, who had once hidden behind a wall of silent endurance, began to show moments of warmth, her smiles more frequent and less guarded. Together, they navigated this fragile space between hope and despair, drawing strength from one another. One crisp autumn afternoon in the hospital's small garden, shaded by golden leaves, Lily held a bouquet of daisies, her favorite flowers. "Mommy," she said softly, her voice laced with childlike determination. "When I get better, I want us to have a big garden full of flowers, just like these." Emily smiled through tears, her voice trembling. "We will, sweetheart. A garden just for you." Michael watched the two with a swelling heart, realizing that this simple wish symbolized so much more: a return to innocence, to life beyond the sterile hospital walls, to dreams rebuilt on the fragile soil of hope. Yet the road ahead remained treacherous. Though Lily's cancer was officially in remission, the specter of relapse and the financial strain of ongoing care cast long shadows. Medical bills still mounted, emotions ran high, and the uncertainty of the future loomed like an unrelenting storm cloud. Michael, determined to make a lasting impact, proposed a new vision. He shared with Emily an idea that had been forming in his mind to establish a foundation dedicated to supporting families, fighting childhood illnesses, so no one would feel as isolated and desperate as they had. "Emily," he said carefully one evening, "what if your story, your courage, could become a beacon of hope for others? What if we could make sure no family has to face this battle alone?" Emily hesitated. The responsibility felt enormous. The thought of opening her life and pain to others terrifying. Yet beneath her apprehension, a spark ignited. "If it can help even one family," she whispered, "then maybe it's worth it." Together, they founded the Ethan and Lily Foundation, a tribute to Michael's late son and Emily's brave daughter. The foundation quickly became a sanctuary for families facing the impossible, providing financial support, counseling, and community to those navigating the harrowing world of pediatric illness. As their partnership grew, so did their affection. Michael found himself drawn to Emily's quiet strength and unwavering love. Emily, in turn, found comfort in Michael's steady presence and genuine care. Their bond deepened beyond circumstance, evolving into something neither had expected, but both had come to need. One evening, as the hospital chapel bathed in soft candlelight, Michael took Emily's hand, his voice thick with emotion. "Emily, you and Lily have changed my life. I want to be part of your family if you'll have me. Will you marry me?" Emily's eyes welled with tears, the weight of joy and relief overwhelming. "Yes," she whispered 1,000 times. Yes. Their wedding was intimate but profound, attended by hospital staff, friends, and families who had become extended kin through shared trials. Lily, radiant and full of hope, walked down the aisle as the flower girl, scattering daisies, the very flowers she dreamed of planting in a garden of their own. Life after the wedding blossomed with promise. Michael, Emily, and Lily created a home filled with laughter, healing, and dreams. They were no longer simply survivor and supporter, employer and employee. They were a family bound not by blood, but by love, sacrifice, and resilience. Michael often reflected on the journey. Losing Ethan had left a void he thought would never heal. But through helping Emily and Lily, he rediscovered purpose and a second chance at fatherhood and love. Emily, once guarded and solitary, now embraced the warmth of belonging, her heart softened by acceptance and new beginnings. Lily, brave and shining, embodied the miracle of survival and the promise of life's beauty, even in the shadow of hardship. One evening, as they watched the sunset paint the sky in hues of gold and pink, Michael whispered, "We've come so far. This is only the beginning. Thank you for walking this emotional journey with me." The story of Michael, Emily, and Lily is one of resilience, love, and hope. A reminder that even in the darkest times, the human spirit can find light. Now I want to hear from you. Which moment in their story moved you the most? If you were in their place, how would you find the strength to keep fighting? Please share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed the story, type #3. If it didn't quite meet your expectations, type #1. And if you thought it was just okay, type #2. Also, tell me which country you're watching from. It's incredible to see this story reach so many corners of the world. Don't forget to like, share, and spread the hope in this story with your friends and family. Your support makes a difference.